me like a Hellcat.
Before we get started, I have a favor. If you enjoy my content and want to see me continue to improve in both quality and size, please check out my Patreon linked in the description. Any amount helps and it is greatly appreciated. There are so many rewards for each level of donation, so go check it out. Now back to the video.
Hey guys, this is Matt the EmeraldAvenger, and in today's video I want to take a look back at the Reworking Overwatch series and do yet another entry, this time very hero specific. Overwatch is in an interesting state at the moment balance-wise. We are at a crossroads of several potential metas. Which one takes the title depends on the power level of a few key heroes, one of which is Baptiste. He himself is in a weird spot. Get too big of a nerf and he is useless. Get too much of a buff and he's dominant and oppressive. Today I want to discuss a rework suggestion I have for him specifically, since I sort of glossed over him while making my Reworking Overwatch episode on supports because I didn't have an idea at the time. So let's get started with my suggestion. Baptiste is defined by and his strengths are centered around one ability, Immortality Field, the focus of today's video. It can be a problematic ability for both him, his team, and the enemy. After its recent nerf, its uptime and cooldown make it a rarity, and hit or miss whether Baptiste and his team can actually take advantage of its utility. It has a 5-second duration and a 25-second cooldown. It's far easier for the enemy just to ignore it instead of push into it and hope to destroy it. However, at its previous power under the current design, the favorability entirely shifts it to become oppressive to Baptiste's foe, either having to risk their own death or losing precious time to push the payload or capture the objective. My proposed change, however, would require the old cooldown and duration, but its utility is receiving a major overhaul. Of course, the immortality aspect of Immortality Field must stay. As typical for Blizzard when doing mini reworks to heroes, such as Junkrat or Brig, I want to put the Immortality Field on charges. Now I know what you're thinking, one is plenty. With charges there could be several out at one time. Well, let me clarify, it's not charges on the use, but instead charges on the amount of times it can save a player from death. Let me explain. Upon activation, or whenever an ally enters the field, the player will gain 2 or 3 charges of Immortality Protocol, a new passive attached to the ability itself. As long as the player takes damage to their locked health, they will technically take all of the damage, but have an infinite HPS applied exclusively to that health, as well as 300% resistance to oncoming damage. So far it works as normal. But if the player takes more than 3 times the locked health as damage, for a normal 200 health hero that'd be about 120 damage, the player loses a charge. After all charges have been extinguished, the player will no longer be affected by the field. Each player will only get 2 or 3 charges per use of Immortality Field. It does not reset if the player exits and then re-enters the field. On this account, there's a second potential option, where the drone activates and generates a pulse, a bit larger than the field's AoE, maybe 8 or 9 meters, since it's a one-time pulse and not a constantly active field. All allies within the pulse will gain the charges, 2 or 3 depending on however balance requires it. And depending on the balance, the drone could hover over Baptiste, and if it's destroyed, charges would be removed, or the effect could be directly tied to Baptiste's life. So if he dies, then the effect leaves. However, this direction may remove options for counterplay, such as CC abilities like Charge and Soundwave, so I don't think it's the right direction. Now the numbers may need adjusted, may have to give or take a charge, or change the required damage that must be taken to remove a charge for higher health heroes, since the locked health is 20% of the hero's max health. Maybe a dynamic system where the amount is percentage based that lowers the higher the health gets, or a flat damage amount, like 120 regardless of health, so as to prevent teams from just running higher health heroes in combo with Baptiste to make themselves harder to kill. Either way, this change would allow some heroes that aren't Sombra or CC based to directly counter Baptiste. These would now include snipers, as well as Junkrat, Mei, Torb, McCree, Pharah, and even Ana if we lean into the infinite HPS that the field does, and the Bionade could block it. But I think an immunity to anti-heal would be a better option for the locked health. Since it would be charge-based and not permanent, I do think an increase to the Immortality Field generator's health could be called into question, maybe setting it to 300 or even 500 health, since charges will be able to be destroyed. although this number would have to be tweaked if this change were to go through. In addition to these Immortality field changes, I want to give him a bit of a mobility boost. No new ability or passive, this change is just to give him some horizontal mobility to his exo boosts, possibly like a max of 5 additional meters to his normal momentum. Overall, I feel these changes to Baptiste, and more specifically his Immortality field, could make it less oppressive and provide more opportunities for counterplay, instead of waiting or having to get line of sight to the generator. The team could just instead unload high damage attacks onto the enemies and strip away their Immortality protocol charges. But this would still require time investments for both teams, so it still remains a valuable and hopefully more balanced ability. So what do you guys think? Of course, these changes would have to be balanced and tested by Blizzard. The number of charges may have to be changed and adjusted. The amount of damage required to actually strip a charge may need to be adjusted higher or lower, depending on how they balance the rest of the characters. Health might also need to be adjusted, as well as the new mobility that I've given Baptiste. Overall, I think it should be a good change, but I want to know your opinions, so feel free to leave in the comment section down below or go to the Discord server to join the conversation. As always, thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. You can follow me on all my socials to keep up with everything on the channel. Go to my Discord, join the conversation, go to my Patreon if you feel like supporting me. I'm in the process of trying to save up for a new computer, so if you go to Patreon, you could definitely help support the channel and allow me to produce more and better content. Once again, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. This is EmeraldAvengerG. Have a nice day, stay safe. Peace out.